Welcome. We are now coming to you live from the Harridan High School Auditorium in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and you're watching Harridan TV News. I'm Seth Ruderman, and together with James Browning, on behalf of the Interschool Council, the Lower Merion and Harridan Speech and Debate teams, as well as Harridan TV, we'd like to welcome you to the 2025 Board of School Directors Candidate Forum. We're excited to continue this nonpartisan event. All 8 candidates have been invited to attend, and we're happy that all of them are here tonight. We have solicited questions from students, parents, taxpayers, and from community groups. We will not be taking audience comments or questions during tonight's event, and we ask that you hold all applause and reactions for the evening. We trust that everyone recognizes that this is a student-led forum, and we are grateful for our students' participation tonight. We would like to thank the League of Women Voters for reviewing the questions to ensure that they are nonpartisan. As a reminder, this event is being broadcasted live on Facebook. Please direct your friends and family not in attendance to watch on Harridan's Facebook page or on the YouTube channel. I'd now like to turn it over to the captains of the Harridan and Lower Merion debate teams, who will be your moderators for tonight's event.
I'm Levi Toika, co-captain of the Harridan High School debate team, and I'm here with Alistair Browning, Meta Steingard, and Eden Weathers. Together, we will be serving as your moderators for this evening's forum. The candidates are running for 5 seats over 4-year terms, which will begin in December.
The format of the evening will be as follows. Each candidate will deliver a 1-minute opening statement, the order of which has been determined by a random drawing. After the opening statements, the candidates will proceed to answer 6 rounds of questions. The first 5 rounds will consist of 2 questions, while the final round will be a single question. For each question, 4 candidates have been selected to answer at random, with each candidate allotted 90 seconds to speak. At our table, a yellow sign will be held up to indicate when a candidate has 20 seconds remaining, and a red sign will be held up to indicate when a candidate is out of time. When the red sign is held up, candidates may complete a sentence and then must stop.
Each candidate has been given 2 yellow index cards that provide an additional opportunity to speak on a question for 1 minute. The cards may be used to extend a response to a question, allow a candidate to answer a question where they were not chosen to speak, or to provide a rebuttal. To use a yellow card, a candidate should raise it until acknowledged by a moderator. Moderators will write down that a candidate used a card to prevent the cards from being used more than twice.
The final section is going to be a 2-minute closing statements from each candidate, again determined by a random drawing. Candidates, please do not mention the names of minors and students while speaking to preserve confidentiality. Additionally, we remind audience members to please hold their applause and all commentary throughout the event, silence their cell phones, and refrain from filming and or video recording. A video of the debate will be available on harritantv.com and vote411.org, a League of Women Voters site. Now, we will begin with opening statements. The statements are 1 minute and will be delivered by each candidate in the following randomized order: Jacob Rudolph, Dina Pack, Carrie Sautner, Jennifer Rivera, Anna Shurak, Omer Deckel, Juanita Kerber, and Talia Nisim. Jacob Rudolph, you may begin.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Hello, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Jacob Rudolph. I am an 18-year-old graduate of Harridan High School, where we are right now, and I am running as an independent. I am running because I believe we can and must do better for every student, every family, every educator, and every taxpayer in this district. These past 4 years of leadership have not been good. We have seen 7 superintendents in 4 years, more hatred than ever, and a lack of transparency and trust on this board. I am running because I can bring a fresh perspective and new change to this district. Thank you.
The next respondent is Dina Pack.
Hi, it's nice to meet you all. I'm Dina Pack, and I am the mother of 3 wonderful children and wife to a wonderful husband, Kevin. And I'm also a nurse. I'm a local leader of a fairly large pediatric home health company. And I'm running because I feel like we can do better for every student in the district. One of the things I specifically can bring to Lower Merion School District is something that I do every day with my patients and families. It's called quality assurance and performance improvement. In my day job, I create policy and procedure, and then I make sure it's implemented using those measures, evaluating things every quarter, making sure that we make performance improvement plans with very clear measures for achievement, and thereby assuring patient and family success. We can do this in Lower Merion, and I'm here to help make that happen.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Carrie Sautner.
Hi, everyone. Wonderful to have you all here tonight. I know there's a lot going on in everybody's lives, and it's really impressive that everybody showed up. And students, thank you so much for doing this. This is a huge civic service. My name's Carrie Sautner. I'm the current president of the school board. I've been serving for 4 years, and I started that work 4 years ago because I deeply believe in public education. It can change lives, and I still believe that today. There's so much more that the school board needs to do, but what I've learned in the last 4 years, that steady, high-quality leadership that has broad experience matters so much. And what I'm really proud about is not just stepping back into this game and watching the great work that our kids are doing, but also at the same time, the slate that I'm stepping in with. There are 2 people, me and Anna, coming back. There's Jen and Juanita coming with new perspective, but strong community connections throughout this entire community. So thank you so much. Can't wait to get into the work and excited to have a great time.
Good evening. As a mother, wife, professional, and active community member, I've learned how to balance the needs of many, approaching each situation with empathy, a willingness to listen, and a focus on finding solutions. My professional experience has equipped me with the necessary skills to put my values into action. With over 20 years of experience, I excel in supporting financial oversight and strategic planning. I have supported finance, audit, and investment committees and provided oversight of a $100 million+ budget to ensure efficiency. I have also organized audits with Grant Thornton, ensuring compliance, transparency, and fostering meaningful discussions for informed decision-making. I will prioritize both financial and accountability in a meaningful and engaging way. Thank you.
Our next respondent is going to be Anna Shirk.
Thank you so much. I want to echo Curry's gratitude for students and for everyone for being here tonight. I know the Eagles are playing right now, so I appreciate folks joining in this space. I am Anna Shurak, and I am a current school board director. I am focused on continuing the work that we've started. In my first 2 years on the board with Curry and committed leaders, we were able to pass and work through issues that have been long and standing in the community as priorities. What we need to do in these next years ahead is really focus on supporting the superintendent, working as a team of 10 to get our strategic plan in place with aligned goals. When we have transitions, that makes it very difficult, and like Jacob mentioned, there have been a few. I am a 22 years in education. I've served at every level of the system, and I am committed and excited to continue to work with our school board and community to support students to have the best experience possible. Thank you.
Our next respondent will be Omer Dekel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Omer Dekel. I'm the father of 3 amazing children studying here in LMSD. My day job, I run an AI engineering organization, empowering teams across the globe to build awesome AI-powered products. I'm running because I believe every school board decision should be grounded in data, measurable outcomes, and complete transparency to all. Because I believe in practicing what I preach, for tonight, I deployed an AI chatbot. Keep us honest, LMSD. It's available online for everyone. trained on all publicly available LMSD data, board transcripts, state reports, and much, much more, including special education. It's not perfect, so please double check everything it gives you, but shows a vision of what transparency can be. It's built to keep us all honest, to make the numbers and patterns visible, and to help our community see what's really working and what needs to improve. Transparency shouldn't be just a promise. It's a system where we use data responsibly, we can ensure every student in LMSD has the opportunity to succeed.
Thank you. Our next respondent will be Juanita Kerber.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juanita Kerber, and I've been a resident of Lower Merion for over 15 years. We moved from South Philly so that our older children could attend high school at a highly rated school district. We have a very blended family. Both my husband and I have children from prior marriage. He is a son and I a daughter. My family is a blend of Black Americans, Jewish, German American. Our youngest is biracial and a middle schooler in the district. And now I have a daughter-in-law who is Chinese American. So my family represents a diverse mix of cultures and different faiths. I'm a clinical imaging analyst for Penn Medicine and an essential employee, which means I have to respond immediately to patient care. There is value in having me as a school board director who's focused, committed, and advocating for a range of issues which affects our district students, families, educators, and community.
Thank you. Our last respondent will be Talia Nisim.
Hi, thank you for having me this evening. I first got involved with Lower Merion School District after October 7th, 2 years ago, with the rising of anti-Semitism all around the country. I became worried and started focusing in on our district. I started many initiatives. One was working with a team who got Jewish History Month put back into the district. From there, I joined the Interschool Council. Last year, I was a member at large covering curriculum, and this year I am running the Parent Education Series. I am also on the Cultural Proficiency team of my children's elementary school. From parent advocacy, I also advocate for our communities. I did such things as working with the NAACP and the JCRC to build bridges between our communities. Through all of this work, I saw a real need for change. Our board needs to be genuine, transparent, and responsive. A personal goal of mine is to publish a plain language explainer of all board decisions and meetings so that everyone can truly understand what is happening in our district and how our decisions are being made. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move into the question section.
First question is for Anna Shurak, Dina Pack, Juanita Kerber, and Omer Deckel. What is your understanding of a school board director's role? As one of 9, in which ways would you, as a school board director, hold the superintendent and the administration accountable and ensure transparency? Anna Shurak will be our first respondent.
So in my experience, the role of the school board director is to work as a team with the other school board members as well as the superintendent. While we do play the role of accountability, it is supposed to be a steady level of discourse to arrive at the best solutions. It is not that everyone is supposed to agree as school board directors, but the role of the director is to understand what the initiatives are of the superintendent, align to the strategic goals, and then follow that plan and support them with feedback from the community, students, and other educators to ensure that we're delivering on the goals set forth by the district. Can you repeat the second half of the question?
You, as a director, hold the superintendent and the administration accountable and ensure transparency?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we're in a time that's incredibly important. As Jacob mentioned, there's been quite a few superintendent transitions. You are not able, as a school district, to have a strategic plan in place that you can hold people accountable to with that level of transition. And so Dr. Ranelli's current work in having a community approach to set that plan is incredibly important. in terms of transparency, involving community members and working through those plans, and also supporting and ensuring that all community members and students and educators are aware of the resources already involved and available to them is of utmost importance as we continue to transition Dr. Ranelli in and work as a team to get our objectives accomplished.
The next respondent is Dina Pack.
Thank you so much for the question. So my understanding of what a school board director does is actually a lot of what I do every day. My job as a director and senior leadership in the company that I run right now is to supervise the policy procedure for all the branches, for all the patient care that we want to provide, make sure that we have solid policy and we have solid procedure for every operating team to go from, and then disseminate that information very clearly with measurable goals to every administrator. Once the administrator receives those policies and procedures, they're expected to implement them with fidelity. We make sure that they implement them with fidelity by having quarterly meetings, quality assurance and performance improvement programs, where every leader from every branch is required to evaluate their own performance based on certain measures. And then we meet quarterly, and we have each branch tell us how they're doing. Are you falling behind in one measure? Is one of your teams not holding true to policy that's been set forth by the administration? If that's happening, we need to put a performance improvement plan together to make sure that we're implementing those things with fidelity. And transparency and holding the superintendent accountable, I actually totally agree with Anna. We need to give the superintendent clear goals for how to perform. And then we need to be transparent when we don't do things correctly. When we make a mistake, we got to own up to it. My bad, I'm going to fix it. Here's the performance improvement plan I put in place. This is how we're going to move forward to fix this issue for the future.
Thank you. Next respondent is Juanita Kerber.
I see the major role of a school board director is also to serve as the connection between the community, parents, students, superintendent, and other school leaders, where all voices and interests are communicated to the school board directors, and the directors are advocates to ensure that those voices are heard. So one of the things that was most important that I heard recently from Dr. Ranelli is the fact that he is a leader already. He's the type of leader that expresses mistakes when they happen. And that's the type of leadership that we need, and we've been without one for a long time. So as a role of the school board is instrumental in hiring the district superintendent, and setting policies, reviewing and providing input into the curriculum, textbooks, and other materials to support a dynamic education that we expect from our district. Thank you.
Candidates move their mics a little closer to them or make an effort to speak more directly into them in the future. Thank you. And our final respondent for this question is Omer Deckel.
So being a school board member, I think, is being a board in general is a very complicated thing to balance, because we have to identify who are the people we're trying and who are the groups that we have to balance into this equation. It's the students, it's the families, community, staff, administration, policy, compliance to that, and regulations around that as well. Our strive is for excellent education, but all those voices need to be brought into the conversation as well. As to how to hold accountable, it's not just the superintendent, it's the administration, it's the staff, and everyone all together. How do you do that? Transparency is the right key to that. We need to develop a culture where we publish information, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That will be transparent, everyone can see it, everyone can understand it, and understand the path to make it better. Celebrate the things we do well, and work on the things we can do better.
Thank you. Our next question is for Jennifer Rivera, Talia Neeson, Carrie Sautner, and Jacob Rudolph. The LMSD School Board oversees a budget of over $350 million that recently included cuts in arts programs, staffing, and busing services. If state and federal cutbacks necessitate further program cuts, How will you decide which areas to cut and which to protect? Please provide specific examples so we can better understand your approach. Our first respondent is Jennifer Rivera.
Thank you for that question. First, fiscal responsibility, I 100% believe is so important. As a school board, and we are blessed to be in such an affluent school district, to have resources where our students could continue to thrive. But I think it's so important that we start practicing not being dependent on reserves and other things like that, but to start being more wise when it comes to budget planning. But our students come first. We need to continue to work as a school board to evaluate the key programs, the key resources that are so important to all of our students that they could thrive in the school district. And then have those honest, transparent conversations as a school board. What can we do without? What is not absolutely necessary that will not impact our students' education? But I do have to say, I've attended every budget meeting, and I'm not yet on the board. I have a lot to learn, and that is why I'm running. So I'm not here to, judge the current board, but that is why I'm running, so I could be on the board to completely understand the decisions that are being made and how I could use my financial experience to help provide an impact where we could continue to make wiser fiscal decisions and be good stewards of what we have here in this district.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Talia Neeson.
We have approximately $40,000 per child in this school per year. I find it completely appalling that we are having to be in a situation where we are cutting things for students. We really need to be able to take a good look into our budget, get some more transparency on it to see where cuts would have to be made. But I firmly believe that cutting things from students as a first thing is absolutely the wrong way to go. We need to continue to have our students have busing and classes. These are things that should never be taken away from them. There are other ways to save money without taking things away from our children. One major thing that I think we could do away with is the current law firm that we're using. They charge us 10 times more than any other district that they serve, and it really makes absolutely no sense why we continue to foster this unhealthy relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Carrie Sautner.
Budgets. I love budgets. These are something that's really, really important. I, as the CEO of an organization, and in my last 20 years have overseen major budgets. Coming into the school district, these are large, large numbers, but these line items are still the same. We're still looking at where's the impact of our dollars go. With always holding true to what any school board member needs to do, you put kids first. You put kids first and you say, what do we need to do to have some of the best schools in this entire country? How do we need to fulfill that? And how do we need to do it in a way that supports all of our schools with what they need? We want consistency across schools, but at the same time, different schools have different needs. So when we look at that big budget, you gotta know, and then please, when we talk about finance, I'm alone in a lot of those budget meetings with my other board members and a few really active community members. Please watch them online. It's always sometimes hard to come. There's a lot of information. In the last 4 years, we've tried to make it more and more clear. What line item are we talking about? What are we talking about here? Because it is really difficult to unpack those budgets and really see what's happening. 77% of the budget goes to teachers and staff. That's the most important thing in a district. And I know I'm running out of time, so I want to tell you right now, we hired a superintendent that was excellent at finding savings in budgets so we can achieve good education without cutting programs.
Thank you. Our final respondent is Jacob Rudolph.
Yeah, so we do currently face a budget shortfall to the tune of about $5 million, but here's the truth. The district already spends about $5 million per year on special education lawsuits and settlements, which includes about $1 million a year to the law firm Whistler Pearlstein, like Talia mentioned. That is money that is wasted on fighting parents in court instead of helping kids in classrooms. Why? That's not just a financial loss, it's a loss of potential for our students. We need to end the adversarial legal strategy and prioritize mediation, which saves money and spares parents years of stress. Additionally, we need to examine administrative costs. I believe that too much of the budget is locked up in upper-level positions that don't directly impact students. Our priority must be student-facing roles, the teachers, the counselors, and support staff who work with kids every single day. By shifting our spending focus, we can address the shortfall responsibly, reduce our reliance on constant tax increases, which keep going up, and ensure that the money we do have is spent where it makes the most difference, which is directly improving student outcomes. In terms of federal dollars, those only make up about 0.55% of our budget, so there should already be a plan in place for any sort of shortfall that would come out if those dollars do disappear. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is for Omer Deckel, Anna Shurak, Jennifer Rivera, and Jacob Rudolph. And yes, a candidate has raised their yellow card, so they will be permitted 1 minute to speak.
Thank you so much. I just want to jump in on the budget and line item question. When speaking of line items and how the budgets are approved, $4.3 million so far this year until September has been paid out to parent and guardians. $4.3 million this year. I would really challenge if the board has been evaluating every single line item in the budget.
Thank you. The next question is for Omer Deckel, Anna Shurak, Jenna Rivera, and Jacob Rudolph. An August 2024 survey from the Digital Education Council found that 86% of students were using AI in their studies. How do you envision AI being used in education? And do you think the district should adopt a policy regarding the use of AI? The first speaker is Omer Deckel.
Thank you. So, my day job, I'm a director of AI engineering for a large international organization. So I'm very ingrained in understanding what AI is, what it can be, what it was yesterday, and the unknown, what it can be tomorrow. Just as an example, ChatGPT started as content creation, moved on to reasoning. We're now at the brink of thinking, and the next step after that is acting. Writing a policy today that can identify all the guardrails we can put into place to affect the future is very nearsighted. This has to be an ongoing thing to be able to consistently and evaluate what AI can do and what it should do. Now, having said all of that, I think AI is wonderful. It provides an amazing aid tool for specific students at specific times. Students who have ADHD, it can very much help them with time management, help students with curriculum understanding, help them evaluate what they're reading, what they're thinking, walk them through that. It's not a fine solution, it's not the right solution, right fit solution to all students all the time, but it should be evaluated for what special situations, and also, as general in life, we have to learn how to use technology, not necessarily ban it.
Thank you. The next speaker is Anna Shurak.
Thank you. So building on a little bit what Omar was sharing, AI is already here, and our students are most informed about how it's working in schools, and there's really, really exciting things happening for kids, from hackathons to being able to run different bots and apps. Our technology department is already doing some pretty amazing work with AI in schools, and part of what we built in the AI policy that we've been reviewing regularly is the continuous cycles of continuing to require our staff in Lower Merion to incorporate changes as the technology advances. Where I see opportunity is for us staying on the cutting edge, working with community members like Omar, working with our technology department that is already leading out this work, and learning from our kids about how they are advancing, and from our teachers about how they can use it. Educational technology and the integration of tools to support teachers and meeting the needs of our students is creating and doing some amazing work across the field. And I'm really looking forward to how us in Lower Merion can continue to use this to advance our student experience.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jennifer Rivera.
Thank you. I see AI, am I close enough? Okay, sorry. I see AI as a tool, something that when used right, and the training is there, it will open up a lot of doors for our students. For example, students with disabilities, AI can level the playing field for them. Tools like AI Note Taker that my brother-in-law shared with me that his college prepared. He is diagnosed with disabilities, and AI Note Taker has been able to help him keep up with his college coursework. Other things like text-to-speech or personalized learning supports can help students focus on learning instead of being held back by barriers. The policy committee, as Anna noted, has been working on a policy regarding AI and has been working in collaboration with the curriculum committee as well, along with administration and community members have been brought to the table and provided feedback during committee community comments during this policy work. Also, I would say that we do need to approach, though, AI carefully. Policies should ensure equity of access so that students who benefit from these supports actually get them, and strong guardrails to protect student privacy. Teachers and staff also need proper training when it comes to the use of AI, its efficiency, effectivity, and using it responsibly. And if we use AI wisely, I truly believe that it will open up doors, giving students with disabilities and all of our students new ways to engage and participate in the classroom.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jacob Rudolph.
AI is an extremely powerful tool. I should know I've sort of grown up with AI, especially in high school, and I've been using it for 2 or 3 years now. But like any tool, it needs to be used wisely. Too much reliance on it can erode critical thinking, as we've seen in studies with doctors who were able to not perform as well after an over-reliance on AI. But if we ignore it, then that leaves students less prepared for the future. For accessibility, AI has extraordinary potential. Tools like real-time captioning, text-to-speech, like Jennifer mentioned, predictive typing, and adaptive learning platforms, which are sort of already used in our schools, can provide students with disabilities greater independence and access to their education. AI can also assist teachers by identifying areas where students are struggling and where additional support is required. But there must be guardrails, especially when it comes to data privacy, transparency, and a commitment to ensuring technology supplements and not replaces human connection. Teachers and support staff will always be irreplaceable. AI should provide them with more time to teach and offer them insights into student progress. If used responsibly, AI can ensure that every student, regardless of ability, has the opportunity to thrive and be successful in the classroom. Thank you.
The next question is for Carrie.
Sorry, I believe Omer Dekel used his card.
Everyone talked about how AI affects the students, data, privacy, and all that. But there's something very important. Again, we're talking about a community here. Curriculum must be reevaluated. If our curriculum is built in such a way that a student can use ChatGPT to solve 90% of what they need to do, we need to completely reevaluate how we teach. How can we use this technology to aid us versus do it for us?
Thank you. The next question.
Just to echo Omar, if you attend some of the curriculum policy meetings that is being done, that is a priority of our current school board and administration, just to let you know, because that is one of the things that they are looking at this policy with guardrails. That is so important. And also to echo Jacob, they also don't want to take it away and introduce AI at such a young age to our students. They want to make sure that they have the foundations to succeed in our school district, like reading, using their minds with math and everything, but slowly introducing them. Because you know what? Technology is here and we need to embrace it. And we're going to do our students a disservice if we don't introduce it to them the right way. And that's as a board where we could have that control and collaboration with our community and administration to do it the right way. But just want to let you know that has been discussed at several committee meetings, the concern of ChatGPT, making sure our students aren't taking advantage of it. How do we know that it's the ChatGPT versus the student's actual work? So that is being in play and is a top priority of our current administration and our board.
Thank you. Yes, at that meeting, I was impressed to hear the board say that they were at, ground level with AI because it's just coming out and everybody is learning it together. And I think it's a bold and good move to, be completely honest and transparent about things like that. However, when they were talking about the policy, Megan Schaefer did say that she was letting the kids kind of play around with this and then was going to set up guardrails around that. And I find that very troubling and worrisome. Until we know AI like we should, then we should have higher guardrails for our kids to keep them safe and protect them. And once we learn and evolve with AI, then we can start to let them go and move and adjust accordingly. Thank you.
One additional minute for Carrie Sautner.
I promise I'll keep it quick. It's a really exciting conversation, and I think we talked very robustly at the committee meeting around this, and Megan Schaefer doesn't teach, so I think it's a really good point to bring up the fears that we have around kids experimenting. One of the things that we did discuss at that meeting was the dangers of AI, not just in the classroom when there's guardrails up and there's student-provided services for AI, but when you go home too. Because when you go home, that's a different system that you use at home that you can't use in a school. So this is when school knowledge and school administration policies and community engagement are so important for the parents to understand this. There's a court case going on right now where a student committed suicide because of the information they were given from ChatGPT systems. And this is really scary, but we need our parents at the table and our community member because it's a whole ecosystem that we do things together.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for Carrie Sautner, Dina Pack, Juanita Kerber, and Talia Nisum. In LMSD, we give students iPads starting in kindergarten, Chromebooks in later elementary and middle school, and iMacs in high school. Technology can be a learning tool, but it can also be a distraction, and in some circumstances is even harmful to our students. At the start of this year, LMSD enforced the off and away policy, limiting the use of personal devices such as cell phones and smartwatches. Do you think this policy is doing enough to address these concerns? If not, what else would you do? Our first respondent is going to be Carrie Sautner.
Hi, thank you. It's a really important policy and idea to come up with, and we are already implementing a lot of this work because it's good foundational education teaching. And a lot of that work is understanding what kids need to be successful at different ages. And there's so much complexity to it. So when we talk about elementary school children, that percentage of screen time in school should be extremely focused and extremely low. We don't want to have kids constantly on iPads or materials, but at the same time, we want to make sure that they have the learning supports that they need. For some child, that might be the access to inclusion, to make sure that they can communicate in a classroom. There's so much assisted technology devices that are a part of that. But as you age, those tools should be taught how do you use them to learn. Technology shouldn't be a weapon, it should be something that you can gain from. And Off and Away has been a really amazing experiment this year as we go through. But just like with any policy, we need to be looking at these policies constantly, measuring the outcomes and seeing what's happening. There's a lot of research right now that shows that so much screen time is very dangerous. But remember, a classroom setting has different screen time than a home setting. So this is why I am so excited that our community is really moving forward in how we limit and make responsible choices around civic technology.
Our next respondent will be Dina Pack.
I love this question. I am not sure how everyone on the panel over here feels, but I am one that would really like my kindergartner, first grader, second grader, and even 12th grader to not please have a device given to them by school. I would really like to limit in all grades how many times a day my child is on a screen in order to access school. I think some of this comes from from a parenting standpoint. I miss seeing my kids play outside after school rather than coming in and doing math homework on the computer. I want to say, get off the screen, but they say, well, that's our homework. We have to be on the screen. I want to see more interaction with my neighbors rather than writing papers for my 12th grader and then going to, watching YouTube videos that are assigned by her government class. I would love to move away from some of that, a lot of it. In fact, I'm a very big supporter of the wait until 8th movement in terms of cell phones. My husband wrote his dissertation for his PhD on social media and its damaging effects on adolescents. So I am a very big supporter of going back to the world that I grew up in the 90s, where we didn't have a screen that connected us to people. We had people that connected us to people. We looked at people in the eyes and we asked them how they were doing. We talked about what kind of games we like to play. We made believe. I was like 12 and I was still playing make-believe. I wish I saw my kids still playing make-believe at 12.
Thank you. Our next respondent will be Juanita Kerber.
All right. I agree in terms of making sure that our kids aren't spending much time on screen. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I do when my son gets home from school is to check to see what he has to do, but also to make sure he's turning screens off. I like for him to go outside and play with his friends, and I think one of the things that we can do as families is start to incorporate more playtime with one another like we do back in the day. So between school time and home time, I think that we can make sure that we are monitoring how much they're doing. But in terms of today's technology, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing almost from morning to night. And we have to figure out ways that we can make it less for our younger kids, but we also have to make sure that we realize technology in the way that it's going is constantly in front of a screen. So in terms of what I've decided to do in regards to a cell phone, I am waiting until 8th grade for him. He does have a way to communicate on his watch if he needs to get in touch with me. But I believe that it's okay for him to wait until 8th grade. But every decision has to be made by families in terms of what they should do in having cell phones. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last respondent to this question will be Talia Nisim.
Thank you. I think the policy is a good start, but I don't think that it's enough. As far as elementary is concerned, I have 2 kids in elementary school, and although they limit the time that they're learning from these iPads, my son will come home and say, oh, I finished an assignment early, so my teacher told me to go play on my iPad. So I searched up which Apple Watch I might want. This is not acceptable in our schools. Back in my day, not to date myself, I went to typewriting class, and I went to computer class. And then I went back to science, and I wrote down my notes, and I learned from my teacher. We need to learn technology, but we don't need to be taught by technology. We need to be taught by our teachers. There is a time and a place for technology, and I agree that everyone needs to know and learn about it because this is our world that we live in today. But we still need these personal relationships. We still need our kids off of the screens because we know how damaging it is for them. Thank you.
Jacob, did you have your yellow card? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I am a huge supporter of not having technology in the classroom. I didn't get a phone until 7th grade, and even that, it was a flip phone. And I think it was 10th grade when I finally got my first iPhone. So I do not like technology in the classroom. But unfortunately, because kids are given a computer, instead of doing schoolwork when they're done or homework or something, they'll scroll on Instagram or scroll on YouTube. And, you know, I look at these Yonder pouches. Maybe you guys have heard of them. They're basically things where you can lock your phone away for the whole entire day. I'd be a huge supporter of that. We should take away the distraction. And especially as somebody with ADHD, having a phone, having a laptop in front of me 24/7 is awful. It makes it so incredibly hard to focus. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to add to this, even though I was not given this question, but just to note the off and away policy, because I have a child in elementary school too, is based off of by grade level. So elementary school students, they have a stricter policy. They're not really expected to have cell phones and everything in school. Also, the teachers offer the technology apps, but also my child comes home with physical papers from foundations, her vowels and everything. So she's not going home using her iPad and all of that. So that also comes to the parents themselves. You can request for the physical curriculum. You don't have to encourage your child using their iPads and everything. My child took her physical foundations reading curriculum. She went to Kinwood Library, spent it with teacher Lara, and went over it. iPad was not involved. So also we have to look at that, but also we have to look at cell phones are important to students as well for medical reasons. If a child has diabetes, they need their cell phone nearby to help them know their sugar levels. If parents are separated, a child might need to be able to communicate. So it's also having those parameters in school, but also making sure, you know, they are away and keeping kids focused. But I just wanted to expand upon because in elementary school, they do not really encourage that. My child at Kinwood comes home with physical work, sorry.
This next question is for Dina Pack, Juanita Kerber, Talia Nissim, and Anna Shurak. LMSD, through the board, has committed to building belonging, whether it's through direct policies or programming, to provide a safe, supportive, and inclusive learning environment for all students and employees. However, parents and community members have expressed concerns about continued hatred and bullying in our schools, particularly the rise of anti-Semitism. What more do you feel should and can be done by the board to address these concerns? Our first respondent is Dina Pack.
Thank you so much for asking such an important question. This is a question that is near to me because my children experienced anti-Semitic bullying specifically in the high school environment, but also in the elementary school environment. I believe hate of any kind for any student is unacceptable. We have to make it so clearly unacceptable. I'm a pediatric nurse, just so everyone knows. In terms of being appropriate for developmental age groups, we have to be very clear with children of a young age and an older age exactly what is okay and where the boundaries are, and what is absolutely never going to happen. Our community has to hold each other accountable to that. If there's an incidence of hate in the school, if a child is feeling bullied, if a giant demographic of people are feeling bullied or hurt or harmed by the environment, we have to address it head on. It's unacceptable to allow that kind of lack of belonging to fester in the school. One thing I think that would be really great is to call it out. Tell the kids in an elementary school environment in an age-appropriate way, this kind of behavior is not okay. This is not how we treat others. We cannot exist in a society where we allow hate to just go rampant, where we allow people to just to say whatever they feel. It's unacceptable, and we have to make it so.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Juanita Kerber.
So, as I mentioned, in my family, we have a blended family. And one of the things that is important to me is that each person in my family is comfortable in their own skin, is comfortable to be able to have conversations when something affects them. And we've had to have those types of conversations. There was an incident where my daughter was faced with racial profiling on her college campus by the police, campus police. And those type of things have to be talked about. And one of the things that I had to say to other members of my family who may not experience it is that this is the difference in how we live. And so in our home, I make sure that we're sensitive and that we're listening. Things may come out that's inappropriate, and I nip it in the bud because you never know how the other person may be feeling. As far as school settings, that should never be tolerated. It's the combination of what we do at home and how we work with the schools to ensure that our kids feel safe. It's to ensure that we have those proper conversations and make sure that there are discipline in place or warnings in place. But we want all of our children to feel a part of a belonging environment. And that belonging environment means everyone. I don't care who you are, but we're all here together and we're all here as a diverse community. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Talia Nissen.
Thank you. I think the school needs stronger professional development, unbiased professionals to come in and help us have these uncomfortable conversations. We have policy that walks us through that, and it is not being followed through on. We need to have our students learn how to have a dialogue with one another. We need to be able to express ourselves, and we need to be able to have these conversations. We need to also be having dialogue with the parents. These parents are coming in concerned with legitimate concerns and are being completely ignored, and it's unacceptable. I'm aware that Robert's laws does not allow school board members to respond at community comment. However, you can offer your email. You can respond that way. You can have a conversation after the meeting. The board needs to open themselves to the community. Hate is unacceptable in all forms. We also need to implement a safe to say. It's an anonymous reporting platform that allows people to tell what's going on anonymously and feel safe about doing it so that we can track what's going on and figure out a way to make it better. Thank you.
Our final respondent is Anna Shurak.
Thank you. So first and foremost, the three factors that demonstrate that schools are having a positive impact on students. Number one is belonging, 2 is rigorous grade level instruction, and 3 is sustained leadership. And so just like all of my colleagues shared up here, belonging is a priority that has to be facilitated by our educational system, our structures, our policies, and working in partnership with our parents. With the rise of anti-Semitism, with the rise of many forms of hate, it is important for us to facilitate dialogue and also acknowledge and be aware of the practices that have been in place and also the limitations of a public school system and how we are operating and how we are including the voices of those that are impacted. Safe to say is in place in our school district. We have put in place systems to increase the reporting of incidents, and no matter what we do, we are not going to eradicate hateful incidents or moments when people feel that they don't belong, because that is not only the school district's responsibility, it is all of our responsibility. And so on the board, I would love to continue the conversation and have a dialogue where we can have a productive discourse, where there is a shared understanding of what is possible, what is not, and also how many people are experiencing different levels of hate and what we need to do so that our community is stronger for students as a whole.
Deckel has used his second card.
Thank you. In the past 2 years, since October 7th, we've seen an extremely rise of anti-Semitism, even here in Lower Merion. There have been over 30 documented events where parents have said that their child or anyone in their family has received those threats and lived under fear in those 2 years. I've seen several parents, and myself included, and my son, stand in front of the board telling these horrific stories. It's not a question of just capturing those things. It's not just about reporting. It's about action, and if the policy does not capture the moral clarity that we must have, that must be amended and reacted in such a way that the policy will reflect those values. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is for Jacob Rudolph, Carrie Sautner, Omer Deckel, and Jennifer Rivera. What 3 things would you suggest to help build trust between the school board and the various segments of the community that are impacted by decisions the board makes, like parents, taxpayers at large, community organizations, the township, and borough's leadership, amongst others? Our first respondent is Jacob Rudolph.
Yeah, I mean, currently families often feel left out of the loop. I know my parents did and I did when we had to fight the district for 3 years to get them to provide me my special education services. Meeting recordings vanish after 30 days. Minutes vary from highly detailed to barely a page, and parents have no two measurable indicators can keep us accountable. First, a response time metric, the percentage of parent inquiries answered within 2 school days. Families should never have to wait weeks for answers, which my parents had to wait. They were being ghosted by the head of special education because they were trying to email her about updates on my IEP. We should also have an annual student experience survey where we can see year-over-year improvement in responses to questions like, adults respond quickly to problems that I have. Both sets of data should be made public. When families can see the numbers, it keeps constant pressure on the district to deliver. A students first culture doesn't happen by slogans. It happens by restructuring progress, setting clear accountability metrics, and posting them where everybody can see them. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Carrie Sautner.
And generally the question's about building trust with the community, correct? Great, just wanted to make sure I had it right. So it's unbelievably important. I think a lot of what I'm hearing tonight too, it falls on this idea where we mix between how do we build trust on issues that are at the table in a way that's healthy civil dialogue. That's the core unity that our community can move forward on. Because what's the hardest thing when we're going through these big issues and these painful, emotionally charged issues, because it's our kids, is making sure that we find compromise. And that's really hard, because sometimes compromise is you have to let something go. And we're never going to let go of our kids being safe and taken care of. But we also have to make sure that everybody at the table has the right information. So again, a lot of the community trust that we have done over the last 4 years is small things and big things. From the board perspective, Anna and I worked to ensure that every single meeting was not only streamed, but on Zoom and able for people, no matter where they were, to ask questions. That didn't exist before this. We remember a time that Zoom didn't exist, and then when it came back and people were back in person, they wanted to let it go, and we pushed back. I'm using my card for this last one, if you don't mind. So as we think about that, the next thing we did was full day K, school start times, hiring a superintendent, and Oakwell. This was huge community engagement, and we did civic conversations. People came to the table and they were very emotional, but they were also ready to sit there and figure it out together. We did them everywhere. We did them in Narberth. We did them at the library. All these pieces really matter. In the last few years, we have gone through superintendent search, got a superintendent, and then again another superintendent. And the rise in anti-Semitism has been something that has been so difficult for all of us to make sure we're getting it right. We bring in outside trainers. We know we're not experts on this, but we talk to the community. Who do you think is best? You know what? JCRC is fantastic. The Weissman is fantastic. Temple Institute for Dialogue is fantastic. Bringing those pieces together and continuing to move them forward matters so much. And we do a student survey to find out how's it impacting our kids. We need to measure, we need to name, we need to tag, we need to address. But I'm telling you all right now, I want to see you at the strategic planning meeting starting October 29th to get your goals in this district. Thanks, sorry.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Omer Deckel.
Trust is very complicated because it takes time. It starts with small things which can be resolved relatively very easy, but when they grow, it becomes even more complicated. I agree there's a lot of communication in Lower Merion, but it's very much dictated when and in what format. We must have open conversation not only on specific things, but to get public comments on anti-Semitism and response. When parents, special education, raise issues, not only respond through the committee, but provide the ability for parents to voice their opinion, the community to voice their opinion in different formats, not specifically in a dictated fashion. Having said all that, there are ways we can get parents' feedback in small places. Imagine having a feedback survey after an IEP. Imagine having a conversation off the record with teachers to be able to see what can be done moving forward. It's not a small thing that can be done and resolve this problem, but we have to start looking at this through everything that we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final respondent is Jennifer Rivera.
Thank you. Simple. I believe in good governance, and it starts with open dialogue and effective collaboration. That means not only engaging directly with our educators, our administrators, but families. But it's also about honoring and the trust that our taxpayers place in us. And most importantly, I believe that it's so important that we engage as a district and build strong relationships with our township, especially our Lower Merion Police Department. I mean, we all have had our opinions about how we, responded, how this district responded to last week's event. And that's just one prime example as why, as a board, as a community, that we need to have those strong relationships with partners in our community, like our Lower Merion Police Department, so that we could work together and improve things, because at the end of the day, it's our community, and we all want to serve it well, especially our students.
So one of the engagements that I've been a part of in the community with community conversations, this is the group that has formed a partnership with the school district. This is the group that believes in setting a foundation for new families to come into the district, setting them up with partnerships with other families, and to act as advocates for them. We cover many topics in this group: special education. We cover how to go before any type of leadership to be able to get the things that you need for your child. We cover how to also look for other families and resources that can help with underdeserved populations. We have many resources in our community that we don't even know about. And so one of the things that we want to do is list those resources, make sure that families have access, and also let them know that they're never alone in a crisis or when they need someone to advocate for them.
Thank you. When you ask someone what is the most important thing in a relationship, 9 times out of 10, the answer you're going to get is trust. The trust with our district right now is completely shattered. I can't even tell you how many parents are coming up every single board meeting talking about, why won't you respond to me? Why won't you talk to me? Why won't you help me with what's going on with our kids? And the answers, there are no answers. There is no response. We need better communication. We need more transparency. We need to build back this trust, because if we can't trust our district, we can't fix anything. Trust is the most important thing, and it is broken.
Thank you. The next question is for Juanita Kerber, Carrie Sautner, Dina Pack, and Omer Deckel. The PA State Standardized Assessment PSSA data ranked the district 3rd overall in the Commonwealth, but also shed light on the increasing achievement gap between various subgroups, including Black and Brown students. What steps is the district taking that you agree with? And what more do you suggest can be done to close this achievement gap? The first speaker is Juanita Kerber. The PA State Standardized Assessment, PSSA data ranked the district third overall in the Commonwealth, but also shed light on the increasing achievement gap between various subgroups, including Black and Brown students. What steps is the district taking that you agree with, and what more do you suggest can be done to close this gap?
Well, first of all, we have to continue to acknowledge the damage from the pandemic. Our kids suffer from it, and they lost a lot of time with their education. We have to look towards the opportunities that's in our, we have to work on creating more opportunities for families that need it, more opportunities for kids to be able to catch up, but we have to look at all aspects of our demographics, which means that there are some families that can afford extra help for their kids versus others who don't have that opportunity, can't afford it. But there are resources that I want to continue to look into in our community with organizations or neighborhood associations like Neighbors Helping Neighbors, who provides tutoring, they provide after-school help, and it has shown that it's helped a great deal. For those kids who were not doing as well before are now more eager in their education because they know that there's someone who's looking out for them. There are other schools and there are other professionals, retired professionals, who want to help, who want to volunteer their services. And I think this is the time that we can look towards our community to see if we can get those additional help for those students and decrease that gap. But it's going to take time. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Carrie Sautner.
Great. It's really important, and we look at this constantly in the curriculum. We're looking at the PA standard tests, we're looking at NAEP, we're looking at all of the tests, and also all the tests the students take as well. Juanita's right. We can't ignore the fact that across the entire country, we're seeing a drop in students' math and reading scores, those two areas. Then we look closer at our own data and examine closer where are the schools where that gap is further, what are the opportunities for those pieces, and what is happening both to close that gap and also look for opportunity gaps in the system, meaning there's things that are happening in our systems, in our math and our reading, that are blocking kids from being successful. You have to look at both sides of those. But the other thing that we need to do as a district, and as a school board member, you're not in the classroom, you're not directing the teachers, but you're holding the school district accountable for closing those gaps. And you're also guiding the curriculum and the assessments, and your job is to ask the right questions. And so when we look at that, we also have to look at other states. There are a lot of other states that are doing really successful in reading, like Mississippi, and there is one state in particular that doesn't have that gap. Every other state does, and it doesn't. We need to start being humble and learn from other experts out there and encourage that outside and get away from train-the-trainer possibilities.
Thank you. Next up is Dina Pack.
Thank you so much for such a critical question. One of the first parts of the question was, what is the district doing well? I think in order to fix a problem, you have to acknowledge it's there in the first place. So I really do applaud the district that it agrees that there is a problem with the disparity in achievement between Black and Brown students and white and Asian students. This is not a new problem, though, and we cannot blame COVID. This has been in existence for over 20 years. In the last 10 years, from 2009, or actually a little bit more than 10 years, 2009 to 2024, the gap has actually widened by 10 percentage points. So that means whatever it is that we're doing, we are doing very badly. And maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, we should have been looking at the states that are doing better in their scores and improving the gap and disparity in achievement and saying, what are they doing that we are not doing? Because clearly we are missing something. It is totally ridiculous that at $40,000 a year, we cannot teach children to read. Unacceptable. We have to do better. We have to call out the issues where they are. We have to evaluate what programs were we spending money on and where is that money going and is it working? And if it isn't, do something different. We have the ability in this district to offer an excellent education to every student, no matter what color they are, no matter where they live, and no matter how much money they make. It is unacceptable to allow it to continue, and if I'm elected to the board, this is the work that I will do.
Thank you. Last respondent is Omer Deckel.
So I'm all about the data and the transparency. If we cannot measure it, if we cannot see it, we cannot solve it. Back in June, Lower Merion Facebook published that we're so excited to be ranked number 3 in the state of Pennsylvania. I did that math, and by the way, anyone can reach out to the AI bot and see all the analysis there. I wanted to see what is the educational gap. For African American students, we are ranked 492 out of roughly 500 school districts in Pennsylvania. For other groups, it's around 100 to 50, depending on where. When you look at the analysis of the PSSA results from 2015 to 2025, you're seeing a slight improvement for some of the small groups, such as IEP, but for the majority of students, we're seeing a decrease. Whites, blacks, and Asian have decreased their scores in the past 10 years and also post-COVID. Once we put that information in front of everyone to see and to be able to track, we can hold everyone accountable to see and practice, try things out, see what works, bring in information from Mississippi, best practices, to see if it works or it doesn't, try something else. There's a saying in engineering called fail fast, fail forward, which means try things out, but learn from them and move forward and try something else.
Thank you. Our next question is for Talia Neeson, Anna Shurik, Jacob Rudolph, and Jennifer Rivera. Please share with us a book that you were assigned to read in high school that you liked or perhaps didn't like, but left a lasting impression. Is this a book that you would add to the curriculum, and why? Our first speaker is Talia Neeson.
Wow, that's an interesting question. You're making me dig way deep. To be completely transparent, I did not love reading in high school. I was a ballerina. I was supposed to be a professional ballerina before I injured myself. And so I did not always go with the flow when it came to school. I do, however, believe that reading is essential, and we do need to be finding books that reach our children, something that engages each and every one of them so that they can make connections with books and with readings. As I grew up, now I love to read. Unfortunately, it didn't hit me in high school, but we do need to be able to bring books to the table that engage our students, that make them connect with reading, and really enjoy and create a love for literature. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next respondent will be Anna Shurik.
Thanks so much. So in high school, my favorite book I read was Grapes of Wrath, which it is still in pieces of the curriculum. I wouldn't advocate to take it out, but couple it with some other perspectives. I'm going to actually answer my favorite book to teach as a former teacher was The Book Thief, and being able to align it with other parallels in the experience of being Jewish with also other forms of different identities and races was really powerful, especially in these current times. And my students always had so many great takeaways, and being able to couple that with other experiences in our Philadelphia community just made it a really rich opportunity. And so it was a little pivot on your question. I hope it's okay.
Thank you. Our next respondent will be Jacob Rudolph.
Before I start, can you just repeat the question very quickly?
Yes. Please share with us a book that you were assigned to read in high school that you liked or perhaps didn't like, but left a lasting impression. Is this a book that you would add to the curriculum, and why?
Well, I read tons of books in high school, and luckily for me, those memories are quite recent. Easily my most favorite book that I read while I was in high school was The Great Gatsby. for a couple reasons, really. The book is pleasant to read. It kind of clicks with you. You don't have to read it multiple times, which I liked. But also the teacher who taught it to us, Mr. Siegel, one of my most favorite teachers of all time. And I do believe that we should keep that book in the curriculum 100%. But we should also look at expanding the curriculum. We've been reading the same books over and over and over again. It's time to add some new literature. We should create a curriculum committee that looks at books, and that would include not just teachers, but also students, librarians, and external scholars to add and improve the books that we are reading to make sure that students get the most well-rounded education possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Jennifer Rivera.
If you would say elementary school, I would say, oh, the places you would go. But since it's high school, I wasn't really a fan of the books that my English teachers assigned me, but I did get to take a leadership course my junior year and also my senior year in Western PA where I attended high school, and it was the 7 highly effective habits of a leader. Leadership is so important to me, even instilling those values at even a young age as elementary school. I'm instilling those values in my daughter. You are strong, beautiful, intelligent, and a leader and not a follower. We need to teach our students how to be advocates for themselves, how to speak up, how to work with others, whether you agree or not, disagree. I mean, I talk to people who I know that don't like me, but I know how to work with them. And I felt as though that leadership course really equipped me for taking not only being the student body president in my high school, but also being student body president at University of Delaware.
Thank you.
This question is for Jennifer Rivera, Carrie Sotner, Anna Shurak, and Dina Pack. What steps would you take to make sure that the district is meeting the needs of students with IEPs or individual education plans? And our first respondent is Jennifer Rivera.
Let's first, admit that navigating resources can be challenging in general to any parent in the school district, but especially when it comes to a child with an IEP. My first step I would take is first to ensure that guidance counselors are meeting with parents and students, affirming and equipping them with the resources that they need. I know this is being done, but ensuring that there's consistency across all of our schools, because there has been reported inconsistency, so holding those guidance counselors accountable. Also, awareness and advocacy is key. Educating the community on special education rights, IEP and 504 process, and policy change. It is so important that we hold our administrators and our teachers accountable to educating our parents when it comes to this, but also holding them accountable to the IEP plans, making sure that they are following through and that we are being held accountable to the students' needs. And then last, identifying what the students need early is so important. I am so grateful that we have full-day kindergarten now. That means that there should be no excuse for the school district to wait to identify the needs of our students. So they need to start introducing MTSS now in kindergarten so that they can incorporate evaluations early so that this could be addressed earlier and that we could work with parents earlier to make sure our students' needs are addressed when it comes to IEPs.
Our next respondent is Carrie Sotner.
Hi. So it's the school board's ultimate responsibility to ensure that district applies to all the legal framework around IEPs. So individualized education plans. This is for kids with that need it for IEPs, GIEPs, and also there's a level to that of 504s. This is all really important work that the district has to ensure happens, but we also have to monitor as a board the impact of this work. When we think about the work that we're doing in our district around special education, there are things that we can be really proud of. And I will tell you that the Committee of Special Ed has done amazing work with really building awareness in parents and the school district to work on policy, but also to work on the guide for special ed. Because so much of this is to empower the parents and align the district. But I do think in the next 4 years, for myself in particular, this is the reason I started on the school board. This is the reason that I got into the school board, is to really look at how do we do school board reform. Because what we have right now is an administrative team that is more coming to the table in not good faith at all times. And I talk to parents all the time across this entire district, and that's what I hear over and over again. It should not be combative. It should be a supportive process, and we need to make sure we build all the resources around our students and the parents as well to do this together. Did I get to stop? I got to stop.
I see your yellow card, but we're going to go through all the assigned candidates first. So our next respondent is Anna Shurak.
Thanks so much. So first and foremost, I think actually one thing I've heard all of us talk about is holding administrators accountable and having a plan. And I think this is a really great example of where we have the opportunity to do better. We should not be going to mediation for the amount of money that has been referenced multiple times. We should not ever get to that place, because if we are having great experiences in our schools with IEPs and parents are able to advocate and understand the process at the level needed, then even if there is a problem that's brought to upper administration, we should be able to work through that together. I think the board's role, like Curry said, is to ensure that there's a governance to follow the law, and this having different transitions of superintendents can be seen in this process. The Guide for Special Education was an initiative that was started with Dr. Yanni in partnership with the CSE in his transition. That's something that was put on hold. We're now delayed in updating that for families. It's a negative impact. And so part of the work here is for us having a really clear strategic plan to be able to continue the work, hold our superintendent accountable, and understand that there are unions in play here. You can't just fire people when it's not working. You need consistent leadership to set goals and structures in place for the level of accountability and transparency needed for us to have a more productive experience for students and families when it comes to special education services.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Dina Pack.
Thank you so much. Such a critical question, as the special education community is upwards of 22% of the LMSD student population, so that is quite a lot of kids. I think first and foremost, we have to come to the family with good faith, no animosity place. And often by the time the family has gotten to the IEP meeting, they have already gone through 90 days of waiting periods. They're dealing with behaviors. They're dealing with lack of implementation in the classroom. I can say myself that getting a child who is unhappy at school to school can be a very painful daily fight to put shoes on and drag them out of the house just to an environment that you know is not serving their needs. So we have to come to that meeting first and foremost with that understanding that you're meeting with people who are already hurting. I think one of the things we could implement is bringing the CSE guidebook with plain language, not highfalutin policy, plain language that any human can read on what are the timelines, what can you expect, who should you call if you're not getting a call back, what are the email addresses. We have to really bring it down to a basic level that these overworked, really overextended families can get to so that they can experience a better IEP process. I would also decentralize the upper administration and bring the IEP team really down to the school level.
Rudolph, you may now respond.
Yeah, I mean, I just have a simple question. Carrie and Anna, you've had 4 years to fix this special education department. Why haven't you fixed it? You've had a director of special education services in there for at least 3 years who has been ghosting people, including my parents, causing lawsuits to be used against the district. And we're wasting millions of dollars a year for what? We shouldn't be doing that. We need to take a hard look at the upper administration, especially when it comes to special education, and ask ourselves, are these people right for the job? I do definitely agree with Dina, though. We should encourage building level teams to be taking a harder look at the IEPs and maybe making decisions. And, you know, I have an IEP, I have a GIEP as well. GIPs were great. IEP process I had to fight for 3 years, and we had to sue the district multiple times. It is unacceptable and absurd.
I'll respond publicly, Jacob, and we can talk more. First of all, I'm sorry that's your experience, right? And so you asked Curry and I directly. This is something also, though, I just want to point out the role of the school board. We don't have hiring, firing power over upper administration besides the superintendent. And even within that case, you have to go through extensive process and due process to do that. So I think this isn't exactly speaks to what I heard Curry say and myself say about having goals, accountability, and structures in place to hold the superintendent accountable if those are not being met, to then take action in alignment with what legal process is for accountability, to be able to hold those that you may have had a difficult experience with to a different standard in alignment of what they are supposed to do for their job. But first and foremost, I'm sorry that that was your experience.
Thank you. Our next question is for Omer Deckel, Jacob Rudolph, Juanita Kerber, and Talia Neeson. What policies would you support to increase access to extracurricular activities, including sports, to students with IEPs/504s so that they have the same participatory opportunities as their non-disabled peers? Our first respondent is Omer Deckel.
So that is a very good question. It's very tough because we have students with disabilities, different IEPs, different expectations. And there's a financial impact to making everything accessible to everyone all the time. I think we need to do a lot of collaboration between different schools, different organizations to find opportunities, not necessarily all of them, but to find opportunities and proactively work to find those and mediate to be in a situation where you can provide multiple options to multiple students in different places, with a clear understanding that we have a finite budget, finite resources, and to be able to accommodate that, that is a very tough thing to balance together.
Thank you. The next respondent is Jacob Rudolph.
Extracurriculars were one of my favorite parts of high school. Sports, the arts, and clubs are where students build friendships, develop confidence, and acquire leadership skills. But unfortunately, sometimes kids with disabilities are excluded because the system doesn't take accessibility seriously. That must change. Inclusion isn't optional, it's a right. Policies should hold schools and IEP teams accountable for ensuring that all students can fully participate with the necessary adaptive equipment, staff support, or training for coaches and activity leaders. Families also need better communication to be aware of these opportunities and understand that their children are welcome. When kids are left out of extracurriculars, they're cut off from some of the most formative experience that schools offer. If elected, I will push to ensure extracurricular access is treated as part of a student's fundamental right to a complete education. Every child, regardless of ability, deserves the opportunity to explore their interests, share their talents, and be a part of the broader school community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Juanita Kerber.
Well, I have the fortunate opportunity to talk to Carrie about that with her son. And she talked about how she really hated the fact that her son would be left out, or that it was just a performative type of participation. And so there are different jobs that we can incorporate for students with disabilities because it's an important part of their growth. And I've seen that growth also in my own family with my nephew who was autistic, who found joy in becoming a content creator, which tells me that there is possible for all kids to be able to be a part of that student life and to be a part of the participation that makes them more integrated in their day-to-day activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final respondent is Talia Neeson.
Thank you. I think it is extremely important for all kids to have the ability to go to extracurriculars. It's a huge piece of student life, and I believe everybody deserves the right to be able to participate in them. I think some of the things that we need to look at is training for our coaches and our aides, make sure that we have transportation set up for kids to get to different activities. We need equipment that is accessible to kids that need help. We need to be able to find a way to make sure that these kids are able to participate in everything that everybody else can do. They need to feel respected, honored, and included in everything. And there are ways to get this done, and we just need to implement them. Thank you.
This next question is the final question, and it is for all candidates. All candidates will speak from left to right, starting with Jacob Rudolph. There are a number of controversial subjects in the news, many of which elicit emotional responses. How would you support the schools facilitating meaningful discussions? And to what extent do you believe the district has a responsibility to educate on or potentially regulate speech?
Well, there is no place for hate in our schools, period. We have banners at, I believe, all of the schools. You can go out there and see them that say no place for hate, 2015, so on and so forth. Every single student deserves equal opportunity to not be judged by the group that they belong to, but by their individual needs and abilities. That's how we ensure resources go to where they're truly needed. At the same time, free expression must be tolerated to the greatest extent possible. Students should be able to share opinions, disagree, and challenge ideas without fear, because that's how a good community is built. But there is a line. Once speech crosses into harassment, threats, or hate, when a student tells another that they are lesser because of their race, religion, identity, or anything else, it's not free expression. That's harm. That is hate. Schools have both a legal and a moral duty to intervene then. Our goal should be a culture where diverse opinions can coexist, but never at the cost of dignity or safety. Free expression and equal opportunity can and must reinforce each other. Thank you.
So one thing I always talk about is how you learn the most from students. And so, Jacob, that was just an excellent response. And I very much echo many of your same beliefs. I think that in our schools, the current climate can become quite divisive. And I think it parallels and mirrors what we see in our community and what is being modeled as adults. And so my challenge to all of us as community members is how do we model what we want to see from our students and allow there to be a place for productive discourse, to have different opinions, to understand at the end of the day, I might not get what I want, but Dina does get what she wants, and I respect what her opinion is in navigating those situations. I think until we take this on as a full community in Lower Merion, we're going to continue to see cycles where it becomes a hateful environment for students when they do have different perspectives. And we've seen how that has infiltrated our school board. We've seen how it negatively impacts students. And we also see how students are saying that they have a different experience than oftentimes what adults are sharing. Those sorts of incidents are things that we need to continue to be able to foster in our schools through productive professional development and responsibility and accountability for not only teachers, administrators in our school, but our entire community and how we tackle this together.
Thank you so much. A very powerful, important question. In work, every day, I work mostly with people under the age of 25. Recent graduates from college, and I find that this generation, that specific generation, and individuals younger, have a harder time with the idea of having a really impactful conversation with somebody that they might stand on an opposite end of the planet with. Politically, ideologically, they have a hard time sitting and being people together. We could talk, and having a really productive conversation. This is something I believe that it is a school's responsibility to teach, because this is a learned skill. This is not something people are born with. You have to learn how to be okay not agreeing with someone and not get hateful. You have to be okay to talk about what you believe in, talk about what they believe in, and be okay to not agree. I will not convince you, and that is okay. This is something we must teach. I totally echo Anna's comments. I have been in the room in school board meetings. It can be one of the most painful environments to sit in. It feels bad, and I'm an adult. I'm almost 40. We have to do better as adults. Have these conversations. I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat. We can sit here and be okay with that. We can still be productive community members. We can still be fighting for the same things.
One of the proudest moments that I saw actually was the end of the school year. There were a group of students that came before the school board, and they spoke from their heart. They spoke about feeling not heard and not seen and treated as little children when they decided to use their voice. They wanted to experience different events or different workshops that will foster growth in them. They wanted to be able to have the right to form their own opinions. And I think that's a positive thing, because that's the way that you grow. That's the way that you obtain maturity. We have to be able to foster that. It actually left me water-eyed to see the promise in these students, to see their ability, to see that they had well thought out opinions, and they weren't afraid to use it. There were actually other students who wanted to be able to voice their opinion, but didn't have the heart. But they decided that the next opportunity that they would do the same thing as their peers did. It is important that we teach critical thinking skills. It is important that we be able to converse with one another. We had opportunities before to get together, and there was actually fear. There was fear that something might happen. A fight may happen. The police may need to be called. But we showed what it takes as adults to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations in places you least expect. Thank you.
So I believe that this begins with unbiased professional development for our teachers and our staff. We need them to be able to teach this skill. Once they get this professional development and education, then they can start working with the students on critical thinking and facilitating uncomfortable conversations. We need to know how to speak to one another. There are two sides of every coin, and everyone has the right to their opinion, and we need to be able to hear it and discuss it and move forward. We need to learn the difference between free speech and hate speech, and we need to make sure that we are able to facilitate all of this with our students so that they can go out into the world and be productive adults. Thank you.
I love what you just said, Talia. We need to know the difference between free speech and hate speech. But as a school board candidate, I do believe that freedom of speech is a foundational value of our democracy. It plays a vital role in our education, and schools should be places where students learn to think critically, express their ideas respectfully, and engage with diverse perspectives. We can't keep them in a bubble here in Lower Merion, okay? They're going to be going off to the college world, and they need to understand that importance. And then also at the same time, though, it is important to recognize that freedom of speech in schools need to operate with certain boundaries, and we have to teach our students how to communicate and respond with respect. Thank you.
I'm going to approach it slightly different. In my day job, I'm leading multiple teams across the world, different time zones, different cultures, different skill sets. I laugh that 60%, 70% of my job is being a marriage counselor. Hearing other people, and most of the time, my response is, did you actually talk about this challenge? and usually not. Facilitating conversation is vital, solves so much of our problems. I think there's a place for the school to do more, but also us as a community. We have to create a culture and work on a culture of dialogue. Not monologues, not screaming, but have a dialogue. I have to commend Jill for facilitating those conversations and the conversation we had with the pastor behind your dad. That is vital to show this to our children, that us as adults can have uncomfortable conversations in a safe way and show them that we can do this in a respectful way to everyone. We might not agree, but we can understand each other. Thank you.
I agree, Jen and to Omar, there's great pieces, and I think they really work well together. Let me tell you a little bit of a story about my experience. So I got my doctorate in educational leadership, and it looked at fairness and justice in America. And I trained every single police officer from 2015 to 2023 on fairness and justice in America. And those police officers were trained with middle school and high school kids. And so when we talk about this generation, I have so much faith in this generation. I have so much faith in kids, but it really is led by both the community modeling civil discourse, modeling the ability to be passionate and disagree without being disagreeable. Thank you, RGB. Now, this matters so much in how we teach our kids, but it also means we put things on the table that are hard for us to understand. And the other thing that matters there is that the truth leads this, that it is not gossip and misinformation that you hear on social media, but it's real data that's looked at, it's real experiences, and that we come to the conversation together in a way that models Harkness dialogues and models true respect for each other. It doesn't mean that kids will always get it right, and that is okay, because it's through that learning process that they understand the norms of a democratic society. And the First Amendment is the bulwark for truth. But I will tell you now, and we don't need to go in a First Amendment lesson, it is different in the classroom than it is at home. So we need to look at that as well.
Thank you. We will now hear the closing statements from each candidate. They're going to be 2 minutes each and read in this random order. Anna Shurik, Omar Dekel, Jennifer Rivera, Juanita Kerber, Talia Nisim, Dina Pack, Carrie Sautner, and Jacob Rudolph. So without further ado, we'll start with Anna Shurik.
Thanks so much. So the past 4 years, it's been an honor to serve on the school board, and I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. We were able to pass full day K, we were able to change start times, we were able to save Oakwell, and we were able to not put fields up, and that was a divisive issue that many people disagree on still. I'm bringing up these points because these were all initiatives that have been in play for, in some cases, over 20 years. We got to that by the level of civil discourse that's required in order to have a successful board. The point of communication across the board, of transparency, are some of the same values that Curry and I were able to advance through changes in policy on the community, in the community and through our work. Headed into the next 4 years, I think it's even more important that we foster stability on the school board and within our district, and that's why I'm running. We have a new superintendent. We've had 4 superintendents in 5 years. And if Curry and I aren't reelected to the school board, we will only have 1 person on the board that has more than 2 years of experience. It's not to diminish the experience of those that are currently serving in partnership with me. It's to talk about how can we build an even stronger team to have the sort of impact that everyone has referenced here tonight wanting for our kids. And so I do hope that you will consider myself and the rest of my slate that is here tonight as you make this choice into the future, as you make this choice for our students to allow us in Lower Merion to live into the values we all aspire for. Thank you.
The next respondent will be Omar Dekel.
I want to start by thanking everyone here tonight. the audience, the moderators, and my fellow candidates. It takes a whole lot of time, care, and commitment to show up for our kids' future. And I'm grateful that so many of us have done that. What drives me is really simple. I believe that every decision we make in LMSD should be grounded in data, measurable outcomes, and transparency. Our families deserve to know not just what decisions are made, but why, and to see the numbers that show whether it's moving in the right direction or not. We have incredible teachers and staff, passionate families, and talented students, but we also have real challenges. Widening achievement gaps, trust in the district that needs to be rebuilt, and decisions that demand clear communication and measurable accountability. That's why I put my commitments to transparency into action. Check out the AI bot as an example to that. It tracks publicly available information, LMSD, board transcripts, state reports, and so much more than that. The vision here is to make sure that we all see the same information, ask the same questions, and work from the same facts. Sunlight is not just good policy. It's how we make things better, fairer, and more sustainable decisions. So here's my one-year commitment. If I have the privilege to serve, I will work alongside the rest of the board and administration to share what we do, what we decide, what data, what is success, and how it's measured. To show where we made measurable progress and where we haven't. No spins, no jargon to that. Just facts, transparency, and clear roadmap forward. Because that's how we build trust. One decision, one data point, and one honest conversation at a time. Thank you.
Our next respondent will be Jennifer Rivera.
Thank you. I believe that we are incredibly fortunate to be in a district known for excellence. However, we need to continue improving, we need to continue adjusting and evolving to meet the growing needs of our students and our community. We are at a pivotal moment for public education, one that demands strong leadership and expertise to face challenges we know the Trump administration's policies will bring to our community. This is a moment for leadership that prioritizes unity, leadership that prioritizes inclusivity, and prioritizes progress. We need a school board that understands the importance of open dialogue and effective collaboration, not just in our schools, but between the school board and the wider community. My commitment to Lower Merion extends beyond my professional experience and qualifications. I believe as a candidate that your actions should be louder than your words, and the loudest voices aren't always the best voices. At the heart of my decision to run for school board is my deep, unwavering commitment to every child in this district, no exceptions. This community is woven into the fabric of who I am. I am a youth minister of middle school and high school kids in this district. My husband and I are raising our beautiful children in this district. My mother graduated from this high school right here. And my father has served and continues to serve this community for decades. This is home, and it's a community that has given my family so much. This is why it is so important to me that I am running and that we have the best in-class school district, that every child can thrive at LMSD. Every voice matters, and I will work tirelessly to be an advocate for public education that reflects our shared values of opportunity, respect, and fairness. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next respondent will be Juanita Kerber.
Thank you, everyone, for what you're doing tonight. This is an important role that you're taking interest in, because it's important to understand what it is to be a candidate for the school board. And my experience as a clinical imaging analyst is I'm responsible for working with clinical leadership of all types. I've worked closely with chairmen, directors, radiologists, and all forms of staff. And what I found work best is being a collaborator, being one to listen to others, and being able to troubleshoot issues when they come up. And that's a part of being a good school board leader also. But when we talk about transparency. And when we talk about trust, we also have to look at what candidates stand for. And what I'm concerned about is making sure that policies like diversity, equity, inclusion, and building belonging stay true. And so when you have a group that seeks an endorsement from a PAC like 1776, Project PAC, which doesn't believe in those things, that's a problem for me. And that also dispels the transparency and trust that we want in our school board. These groups are ones to be aware of because the type of ideologies that they think is wrong doesn't fit the mode of our community, and we have a diverse community. So I suggest you research those groups, and I suggest that we remember it was not that long ago that we had the Artmore Avenue Elementary School as the only area school where Black children could attend. It also was where white special education students went there. It changed in 1963 when integration was introduced. We can't go back. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Talia Nisim.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, community members, fellow candidates, and a special thank you to the students for doing such an excellent job tonight. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. As a board member, I will prioritize transparency, kindness, and improvement. We need to get back to a place where we can trust our leadership and move forward as a community, as a whole, working everyone together so we can make sure that every single student in our district feels safe, heard, and is being taken care of. Our schools should be as welcoming as our neighborhoods. We need to listen to our community, get them more involved so that we can learn from our experts and our parents and our stakeholders so that we can make well-rounded decisions that will affect change for every single student. We will never get anywhere with silence and ignoring families. Nothing will come of this. Our job is to represent students and staff, families, and stakeholders, and that's exactly what I intend to do. I'd like to give a shout out to Dina and Omer. We make an awesome team together. We highlight each other's strengths, and we work extremely well together. And if we all three got on the board together, we could really do something incredible. I'm a very moderate person and an open book. You can ask me anything, and I will give you the truth. And I plan to do the same thing as a board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next respondent will be Dina Pack.
So first of all, does anybody have the score? No? 1-1. Oh, Jacob's got the score. I first want to thank the ISC staff, James, and these amazing students for all the work. I'm sure this was an unbelievable amount of work that you guys went through. You did an excellent job, and thank you so much for doing all of that just to hear us talk. So really appreciate it. I want to say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing for 20 years and not making a change. So there's that. We have an opportunity to make real meaningful change in this district. Take your opportunity. If you want more of the same, go for it. We have real leaders here that are totally ready and prepared to do this job. I do this job in my life. This is what I do. I run multi-million-dollar budgets. I run many branches and many teams, and I tell administrations what I want. And then when they don't do what I want, I come find them, and I make them do what I want. Because that is how we expect quality. That is how we expect good results, is by having a policy, having a procedure, implementing how they're going to get there, and then measuring them. And when they don't hold up, you hold them accountable. Our slate is ready to do this job. You have to be ready to decide if you want to make a change for Laura Marion. I watched the Spy High documentary and I was appalled. It could have been filmed this year. It could have been about now. We cannot continue to do the same things and expect a different result. Make an informed decision.
Thank you. Our next respondent will be Carrie Sautner.
Thank you so much. Of course, again, thanks to the students. If you ever want to come to a school board meeting, please come. Maybe we should turn them over to you. And everybody's been on fantastic behavior tonight, and it's grateful to all of you. I think it's really important to ground ourselves in this community that we live in. I grew up here. I went to Ballackinwood Middle School. My dad graduated from Lower Merion. My kids went here. I talked my husband into moving here. My family is all around, and my friends growing up are all around, and I am so grateful to be a part of this community. So when people are like, why are you volunteering for the school board? I tell them it's extremely hard. You're working not as a boss and telling people what to do. You're working with 10 other people to build consensus. And it is like Sisyphus. You're moving that boulder up the hill and it moves back down, but you don't give up. Things are hard. We have moved so many things forward, and we should pause for a moment and say, congratulations, we as an entire community did that, and that is great, excellent work. Where past communities could not do that, they did get stuff done, but we got even more. But you don't quit when it gets hard. You don't quit every 4 years. You have to stay in, because my North Star, and it doesn't matter who yells at me or what, my new North Star are kids. I put them first. What their needs are, and with a background in education, and with a background in understanding how school systems work, I can advise and ask questions that other people can't. And I am so honored to be working with this slate, Jennifer, Juanita, and Anna, to bring real experience at that board table, at school leadership, and throughout the community. And what's really important, it's so important to have diversity on the school board table. It's diversity in the classroom, it's diversity in the community, and it's diversity on that school board table, and working together, and understanding that you can argue and debate and moving it forward. Remember that strategic plan is all of ours, not just the board's. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last respondent will be Jacob Rudolph.
Yeah, so first off, I just want to give a huge shout out to the ISC and you fine students for organizing this. This is awesome and really cool. I also want to thank everybody who is here in person or is watching on YouTube. I can see you over there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for not deciding to watch the Phillies or the Eagles, because I know that is so hard. I really wanted to watch them too, but this is more important. I actually want to thank Juanita for bringing something up that is very important to me. I had to decline an endorsement from the 1776 Project because of hateful, inflammatory items on their website, such as hats that say that there are only 2 genders. Those aren't the values that I was raised with. Those aren't the values that our community has. We shouldn't be bringing that hateful rhetoric into the classroom, into the school board. Hate isn't what got me into this race, though. It was the special education and the experience that I had. If I were to be elected to this school board, I would make sure that no student would ever have to go through what I had to go through. Kids deserve to be respected, and that's not happening right now. We also need to take a hard look at the law firm that we are spending about $1 million a year on and make sure that we do not pay that much money to them. I have a really unique perspective, given that I graduated from this school back in June. I am 18 years old. But again, huge shout out to everybody who showed up, and I wish the best of luck to all my fellow candidates. Thank you, and remember to vote for an independent on Election Day.
All right, I want to thank all the candidates for coming. I want to thank all of our students for doing a great job moderating our debate. I want to thank the Harridan TV crew and the stage and lighting crew for helping us with the event. I want to thank everyone for coming out. And I just want to remind everyone that Election Day is on Tuesday, November 4th. We hope to see you at the polls. Thank you.